Hello, welcome, folks. Good morning or good evening. I know we have folks from all around the world today. Um, Asia, thank you for the introduction. My name is Shella Duzan. I'm a senior marketing manager here at Kickstarter, and I'll be sort of emceeing and guiding you through our session today. We know how busy you are as creators and makers, and so we really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. Today's session is all about Micro May. We've got an amazing lineup of creators, including the creator of Micro May, here to share their experiences. I'll just walk you guys through a little agenda, some housekeeping, and then we'll get started. So, quickly, just an overview of our agenda. What is Micro May and sort of what is an open call? Why should you join and how does it help your project and help you in achieving your goals? How do you participate? What does the application process look like? How does we've released new badges? We'll talk through those, things like that. And then we'll talk with our creators here about upcoming launches, sharing some success stories from their launches, and then just an open conversation about advice they have or challenges they've seen, really creating a space for our creators to share their expertise. But then also we'll have audience Q&A finally. So a couple things here, and then we'll circle back to Q&A. Number one, the session is being recorded and we will share the recording. You'll receive a follow-up email after this session. Please be patient with us. We're a small but mighty team, but we'll get it out to you for sure. Please keep your mic muted, and then your camera is optional. We love to see your faces, your reactions. Always cool to see, where people are calling in from, but of course that's optional as well. And then lastly, we are so open and eager to see your questions. So we have a chat here in Zoom. We'd love to hear where you're from, if you want to share your project link or your company website, chatter, comments, definitely please keep that in the chat. We would love to hear from you. Second, we have a Q&A option. So when we get to the Q&A portion of today, we will use the questions that are being sent in this Q&A box. You can upvote other people's questions, which will help me prioritize which ones we answer live. And then we can take all of them as a team and maybe address any that we need to with our community. So please keep questions in the Q&A box. Please keep your chatter, commentary, excitement in the chat. And then we'll be good to go. All right, let's do an icebreaker. Please drop your answers in the chat. How would you define a micro game? So I think there's a lot of different ways to approach this. Maybe thinking about the physical size of a project or maybe the time it takes to play it. I kind of like this idea of a game that you can play in like 30 minutes or less. Simon says a game that fits in your pocket, which I think is a great, great answer. Des, that's why you're here. We're going to answer your question. Don't worry. Small, portable, low price, high value. I think that's a great point about what these games, like how they're different from just regular games. Portable, easy to learn, quick to play. Yeah, awesome. High replayability, intentionally small, totally. I kind of think of micro games as like something I could take with me on like a plane or a train and like play on a small table and get through, in a short amount of time. Portable, self-contained, no batteries and extra devices. I love that. All right, thank you. Please keep them coming. I will switch over to Asia, our wonderful member of the games team who's here. Asia, take it away.
Hey all. Also, thank you so much, Shella, for that awesome intro. Thank you everyone for joining. Hi, my name is Asia. I'm on the games team at Kickstarter, and I help people bring their games to life. So after you're obviously very convinced to join Micromay, which is a really stellar open call that we have, spearheaded by all of these lovely panelists, I will be a great resource if you have any technical type of questions about games and all things games at Kickstarter. So you can reach out to me at games@kickstarter.com. So let's talk about what is Micro May. Micro May is this really awesome open call, and it's an annual open call that is hosted in May. That is a call for all micro games. So everything from wallet size designs to mint 10 inventors. I love that our icebreaker was talking about what is a micro game because apparently amongst the micro game community, I learned yesterday, it's might be a little bit controversial. There's lots of different categories for what it's defined as. So maybe we'll kind of come to a proper definition today during this chat, but that's kind of a basic summary of, what it entails to join in on Micro May. So It runs in May from May 1st to May 31st. It was launched in 2024 and then it was officially on Kickstarter last year, and it's been very exciting to watch this open call grow. The participation has quadrupled in the past year, which is super exciting to see. So we're going to get into some stats for everything we've been seeing with Micro May. So last year, Micro May raised almost $1 million in pledged projects, which is really great to see, and had almost 35,000 total backings, which is insane. And then also too, this is a higher than usual number for our open calls, but had 84% projects successfully funded, which is like really cool to see. It's like definitely in competition with like some of our other like larger open calls like Witchstarter and um uh long story short, just came to my mind. And the next slide. So, what are the benefits of joining? So, as I've mentioned before, this is a really great community. Everyone that's involved is just super excited about this open call. And one of the things that is a really great benefit is just being able to create with these creators and learn from them as well. I believe outside of the community that we're fostering on Kickstarter, like there are Facebook groups and Discords and stuff like that, which I'm sure the folks can share towards the end of this webinar. But it's a really, really great community to be a part of, and people are really excited. Next, you have a wider audience reach. So within the micromake community, all of these people are ingratiated within the tabletop community. But this is a niche within itself, so it's just a really great way to connect with people inside this niche and with as well with a larger tabletop gaming community. Oh, awesome! Thank you, Simon, for dropping the Facebook link. Also, joining Micro May, there is a discoverability boost. So you will be a part of a curated collection of projects that are promoted on the Kickstarter site all month long. If you go to the Kickstarter main homepage, if you hover over the Discover tab on the far right-hand side, and look at our open calls, there will be a section for Micro May, and all of the projects will be collected there, and they'll also be featured throughout the site and stuff like that. And then, of course, as I spoke earlier before, there's a higher success rate. 84% of Micro May projects meet their funding goal, which is really awesome to see, and it's a really awesome rate that we're very proud of, and again, has been heartily spearheaded by this awesome community. So now that you've obviously been talked into joining Microwave, because how could you not? This is how you participate. So first, you're going to make your micro game project on Kickstarter. That just entails creating a project page. So a great like first step would be if you go to Kickstarter and scroll all the way down under support, there's a place that says creator resources. If you're someone that's completely unfamiliar with creating a project page, starting at creator resources on the Kickstarter page is like, or on the Kickstarter website is a great place to start. It kind of can walk you through different things and offers tons of different blog articles and stuff like that. Joining the Micromay Facebook community is another great place to start to kind of learn about like, what does it entail to start a Kickstarter? And then again, Games at Kickstarter is another place to start after you've kind of started with those other resources. If you have kind of some technical questions, I'm happy to answer any questions there. And the games team is excited about this open call, and we want to get as many people participating as possible. Once you've created your project page, you're going to want to fill out our short form, like Google form, to make sure that you're included in the open call. And the reason for that is that helps us get these awesome stats that we can report. So please fill out that form, and whenever you do, your project will be reviewed, and then our team will add you to the Micromake collection. And you will also get an awesome badge, which I will show you in the next slide, that you can include on your page or on your hero like image or just wherever you want to include. And then we have the most important part, which is the launch window. You just want to make sure that your project is going to be live at any time during May. It can launch on May 1st. It can launch on May 31st, though I don't necessarily recommend that because you want to get into the heat of things. And Micro May, again, is very fun, very exciting. And so launching whenever in May is ideal. And then lastly, feel free to join our Discord channel. That's optional, but again, it's a really great place for community. And I think a really big and great aspect of Micro May is the community of it all. Oh, and these are the awesome micro May badges that you can include on your project page. And then also too, underneath your hero image on the page, once you're included in the collection, once your project has been reviewed, there will also be like a little, like an even smaller little badge that will indicate that your project is a part of Micro May.
When your project gets tagged with the Micromay tag on our backend system, we'll send you an email with these badges.
So let's get into some standout micro May projects. And I'm going to have our awesome panelists here talk about them in depth. And you can hear why they're so great. And I think our first one is Ahmed's project, if you want to take it away.
Hey everybody, Ahmed here, and this is Hieroglyph Historian. It's a solo word builder, so if you can imagine Wordle, but played in the palm of your hand. So it's a bit of an advanced puzzly challenge, and I worked with a local artist, Shane Tolan, who did an amazing job with the art. Initially, this was an 18 card project that was part of Board Game Geek contest over a year before that, and I entered a few other contests with it as well. It was kind of last minute to put it on Micromay, to be honest, um, but I'm really glad that we did push through, and we had some challenges with fulfillment, but overall, I was really happy with the campaign. To be honest, we didn't really do much marketing for it, but we got 169 backers, which is insane. And it was lots of fun to launch the campaign during Micro May because we also did some collaboration, for example, with Simon from One Card Maze and also with Jason from Cat Spotting. What I want to say is that you really feel the community spirit when you're launching together because there's a lot of buzz happening behind the scenes, for example, in the Facebook group, and now we have a Discord channel. So, because honestly, when you're launching something, it is so intense, stressful, it's a bit of a marathon. So, launching with other people, it really, really helps. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, Dylan, we can
Yeah.
hear you.
Cool. I just noticed my game just popped up on the screen. This was Capybara Crush. This was our second Micromay project because we did it. This was our third year in a row. So we make really cute, clever games where every turn is a little puzzle. So in Capybara Crush, you're putting things on capybara's heads. And since we did the deluxe version for this project, we also had a plushie that is the pocket that you could put the game in. So it had a little strap and it has a zipper on the bottom that you could fit the game into. And it was fantastic. Like it was made while I was still a teacher. And I was asking the kids, like, what animal do you want? They're like, capybara, because they were so popular last year. So yeah, it was a blast, and working with the Macrame team and everybody else in the projects was an amazing experience for the second time in a row. So looking forward to this year.
Simon is showing off his plushie.
Nice.
And what a great transition. Simon, would love for you to hear, would love to hear about your project.
Well, really quick, I'm gonna bump up everyone else's. So this is the plushie from the previous one. This is the zipper he was talking about with the game inside. Um, and then this is that collab maze that Ahmed was talking about. This is in the style of his game, like hieroglyphics. I don't know if you can see the hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics, and then it's also a one card maze. So a one card maze season three happened last Micro May. All these panelists here have done Micro May twice, and now this for the third time. And so for one card maze season three, it was more one card mazes, which are 18 mazes that come in a little plastic wallet. It's and hence why I think it's travel ability and fitting in a pocket for micro May. And then these cards are a maze that fit all in one card, and so you flip and rotate the card to get to the exit. The difference with season three was all the cards in multi-card maze connect, so you start from the first maze and try and get your way all the way to the last maze. Flank Flip had its own like separate game inside of it, and then Hand of Cthulhu was a game that I designed. And it's just like an in-hand game, also kind of like portable in that way. I have a co-designer, Andrew Dobson, who helps design and kind of do all the business stuff with me as well. So yeah, and actually, sorry, that was our biggest one yet. $76,000 was crazy for a bunch of wallets, and then 1,000 backers. The one before had 1,000 backers, but we got about half, like $46,000, and so hoping to continue from there, which is really exciting. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. And then we will go to Chris.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, so this was our most recent game from Shiny Pigeons, Shiny Pigeon Printables. This is Around the World in 15 Minutes. This was our second edition of a print and play game that we released before. And with the second edition of the game, we basically added a new map and gave everything else kind of a nice zhuzh, if you like. But basically, in that game, it's a one page per player print and play. So uh, one player is going to be our navigator, and we're going around the world in, 15 minutes. And that person, our navigator, is going to give everyone a direction that everyone has to follow. So you might travel, you might explore, you might collect souvenirs. And when that navigator makes that big decision for everyone, each player chooses how they make that decision on their own sheet. And then when someone gets back to their starting city, that triggers the end game for everyone. You count up points, and the most points is the winner. So a bit of set collection, a bit of clever play trying to figure out what you want to do, where you want to go, and every so often you'll have the capacity to focus on what you want to do, and you'll get a bit of a boost for that. So, yeah, it's really fun to see the print and play community come together for this. And because it's print and play with no assembly required, you literally just print it off and you're ready to play. Grab a marker in this case and go. Teach the game, play it, enjoy. The hope is to get as little friction from buying the game to playing it in just as quickly as we can. So.
Thank you, Chris. This is awesome. I was just on a trip to Disney World, and as we all know, that means a lot of waiting in lines. And I wish I had like brought something like this with me. I was with some kids, and I feel like we would have had a blast. So putting that one away for next year. Awesome. All right, Asia. I know we kind of saw some previews from our panelists, but we would love to introduce them here. So, actually, Asia, I said your name, but I would love to pass it along to each of our panelists to sort of introduce yourself a little more formally. We've heard about your games, but would love to hear about, why you make games and why you love Micromay. Simon, take it away.
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Simon. I'm a teacher. I've lived overseas because my parents were also teachers overseas, and then I've taught overseas. I'm currently in Ethiopia, teaching at an international school here. I'm a music teacher. Yeah, so then in the game design part, I have lots of students every day, so I do a lot of play testing with them, at least once a week, which is really awesome. And then Micromake kind of started 3 years ago with Ben, when I lived in Dubai, and he lived in Dubai as well. And yeah, so his whole point was trying to help other designers do this and kind of like start. And I just love that ethos. So I've kind of like taken up from him. So yeah, so that Facebook group has like almost like lessons. It has like little like things you should be doing at different times. What should you be doing right now? Getting ready for Micromay. I like that Ahmed brought up that he felt that he came in late, but I don't agree. I think there's lots of times to come in, and that's kind of like the beauty of it. We're all here to help you. We've done them well, and we've done them not so well, so we kind of have like a wealth of knowledge. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much me.
Chris, back to you.
Hey, that's me. Yes, hi, I am Chris Backe. It rhymes with hockey. And most of what I've been doing on Kickstarter recently has been the print and play games. And shout out to my partner with that, Parker Simpson. Um, we started out, so I started making print and play games a few years ago with the Spies back when we were called No Box Games in 2022. I've also made a number of other smaller games. Here's two I've made before, also produced by on Kickstarter in past years. Just little tiny games that can fit in your pocket. I've also made bigger games that have been traditionally published. I also develop games for clients. And in 2020, after COVID locked everything down, I started virtual playtesting with Ian Brocklebank to help people playtest their games in a virtual environment. I've also started a service called tabletoppublishers.com, which is basically a service to help designers pitch their games better. Big database, lots of tools. And if you find me when I'm not playtesting a game or something, I am probably running. You might find me at the gym. I will never say no to a good pizza. So, uh, thanks for having me.
You and me both, and thank you for joining us. Dylan, over to you.
Hey, what's up? So, I'm Dylan, they, them program or pronouns. I live in Shanghai with my toddler, so I watch the kid in the daytime and then do games at night. I'm full-time publisher and designer, artist. So I used to be teacher, and then we do a project like every 3 months on average. So we've just been cranking them out from the toys or the games, and it's been a blast. We publish in both Chinese and English, and we have a licensing agent, Mob Vanguard, who helps us get all the other languages. So there's a long tail of the design process. And yeah, also love traveling. So you can meet me at um, this weekend. I'm going to be in California for Game Market West, and then we're going to UK Games Expo, and then we're going to be at Gen Con, and then Essen Spiel, and then we're going to be in Tokyo Game Market. So we're just hopping around the world.
That's awesome. We'll see you at UKJE or GE. Yeah.
Yeah, is
All
my
right.
camera working?
Yes, we can see you and hear you great,
Okay,
Dylan.
cool.
Awesome. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
All right, Ahmad, you are last and very much not least.
Hello again, everyone. So I started game design officially around 3 years ago when I quit my dream job. And really, the question that came to my mind then was, what sort of legacy do you want to leave behind? But of course, I only did that with the permission of my wife because, as everybody who's married knows, happy wife, happy life. So, and what I've discovered through this journey is that number one, it was something that I entered with zero knowledge. So it wasn't something like, I happen to know people or have a massive inheritance or anything like that. I just started it, went in blind, and I discovered a really welcoming local and global community. I met so many cool people to learn about their journeys and get inspired by them. And I also discovered a way to create meaningful impact. Because for me, apart from designing my own games, which is, I think I've got like 9 official games and counting now, I'm also heavily involved in tabletop grassroots and advocacy efforts locally as well as internationally. And I work with partners and clients to deliver a curated experience in a box. And I feel this is really the ultimate human-centered design challenge. And I hope that's going to be my legacy. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all to our panelists. We will go ahead and move into some upcoming launches that are coming both from this group and otherwise. And then from there, we'll do a little conversation with the folks. Simon, would you like to tell us about this project, season 4?
Yes, please. So yeah, this is our fourth Kickstarter. Andrew and my fourth Kickstarter. The first Kickstarter, and again, I love that the kind of like ramp up that it's been. The first one was just a print and play, kind of like Chris's, but it's 18 cards. So you print out 18 cards on kind of A4 pages, and then you just cut them out yourselves, and you can play it on your own. So that's like like Chris is saying, the cheap, easy way that you can get it immediately, which is awesome. Season 2 was the first time we actually made the wallets. So we made some wallets the first time. Season 3 I already talked about, and then season 4 is very exciting because we're going to make crazy things. So we're gonna have mazes on bookmarks. So you can have a bookmark while you're reading a book or while you're just hanging out. You can do a maze on the bookmark. And we're gonna have coasters. So again, while you're waiting somewhere or you have company, they can do a maze on a coaster. We're gonna do greeting cards. I've always wanted this as a teacher. I feel like I give a lot of greeting cards for Christmas and the end of the year, like to fellow teachers and stuff like that, staff. So I've always wanted a greeting card. So I'm excited about that one. And then the craziest one is the T-shirt. So you will be able to play the T-shirt. You do have to do a little bit of yoga, going down, up, turning around, doing a little dance. Yeah. So the exciting thing about this is we're kind of just expanding what one card maze could be. So it's one bookmark maze, one T-shirt maze, one greeting card maze, and so on. Yeah.
Thanks, Simon. All right, Dylan, we'd love to hear about Vegan Cafe.
For Micromay, we're actually doing Dragon Mail. We'll do Vegan Cafe later on in the year. But we just switched the artist for Dragon Mail, so the current picture up for that one is not accurate either. But yeah, Vegan Cafe is a puzzle game. So our entire design ethos at the moment is every turn is a little puzzle. So both Dragon Mail and Vegan Cafe have that. But I thought I switched those out so it's not the Micromay badge anymore.
Maybe I have an old version pulled up. I will check on that.
Probably.
Yeah,
Things
I'm so
move
sorry about
fast.
that. Things
No
are
worries.
moving fast. We're moving quickly over here.
Yeah,
Well, thank you, Dylan.
of course.
All right. Let's talk about Be the Buzz.
All right, me again. So this is actually an educational game, and it's about native Australian bees. And for those of you who don't know, we've got around almost 2,000 different native species, but they're actually poorly researched. And unlike European honeybees, most of them actually don't make honey, and they're actually solitary, so they don't actually have hives. And the big challenge with native Australian bees is that their habitat, like many other species, are actually being impacted by human development. So there are actually a lot of different cool things that you can do if you live in Australia in order to help look after them. And so this game teaches that. But unlike traditional, learning, this utilizes a game-based learning framework. And what that means is that you learn about the subject matter as you play. For example, the main mechanism of the game is dexterity based, which means that you have to literally throw your bee cards and get them to land on their favorite flowers while avoiding pesticides. And there are facts about the bees in terms of their habitats and the types of flowers they like. And so this information, if you actually read it, you can use it and know that, hey, I want to plant these types of flowers at home. That's actually what I ended up doing. I stripped my whole front lawn, and we've got like more than 60 different native species, flower species, and we've got lots of cool bees and other animals and birds all over the place there. So that's something really cool that I wanted to highlight. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I focus a lot on advocacy and now a bit more on the educational side of games. And that's why Be the Bus is going to come in Micromay.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And then last one here, back to you, Chris.
Yeah, so really excited. Microgame May. Parker and I are going to be launching the second edition of Dragon versus Kingdom, a game we released a couple of years ago. And this is a print and play game with zero educational content at all. So if you want educational stuff, Ahmed's game is going to be great for that. But in Dragon versus Kingdom, you are building a kingdom in different sheets around the table. And then once per round, you're going to be the dragon on the sheets. So you're going to score points by building your kingdom, drawing, it's just like circles and triangles and squares and stuff. And then you're going to score more points as the dragon by burning it all down. So you're going to play both roles here. And essentially, when you have your sheet in front of you, you'll make your marks and then you'll pass your sheet clockwise to the next player and receive a new sheet from them. So you'll know which sheet is yours because you'll be able to write your dragon's name on it, and you'll be able to possibly write your writer's name on it, whatever. In the second edition, we're basically launching two additional maps with some new twists and a couple of different ways of scoring. So when you play the game, you just choose one map you want to play. Everyone gets a copy of that. Choose one of the scoring sheets you want to play. Everyone gets a copy of that. So 3 maps times 3 scoring sheets gives you 9 different ways to play. And really excited to show a lot of the fun that you have just by passing sheets around a table. Like as soon as you get the new sheet, you're going to go, hey, why'd you do that? Why'd you make that mark there? Why'd you block me? Why'd you destroy my building or whatever? So
Awesome. Thank you for the overview. I feel like even if it's not educational, it sounds interesting for sure. All right. Okay, Asia, I'm gonna pass this off to you for a little free-form conversation with our creators. I think we've got some questions on the next slides, but I'll let you ask and kind of direct this around to our wonderful panel here.
Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, we have some great questions. We also have some questions in the Q&A, which we'll get to later. But our first question for all of our panelists, whoever wants to tackle it first, what production choices have helped you keep the game affordable?
I could jump in
yeah,
really fast.
yeah, go on, go
Or
ahead.
Kristen.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Um, so living in Shanghai was a choice I made back in 2015 after we failed our first Kickstarter. And I live next to the factories, so I can go to the factories, hang out with them, talk about the different ways to make the games cheaper. I found bridge size cards. You could fit more in a sheet, so we have 77 cards in our games because that fits on one sheet. We changed to tuck boxes, so they can go on the go and they could be cheap. But then for the deluxe ones, they're in a little um, the two-piece box with the tuck box inside, so you can have the stuff on the go, or you can have the box that fits on your shelf well. And yeah, just talking with your factory is really good.
Yeah. Um, one great thing I love about making print and play games is there is no factory. I literally get to send you a PDF file that you'll print, and I try to keep the ask, the pieces I'm asking you to create, or just provide. My goal for every game I make is basically a literal handful of things, no more. The sheets to play and a literal handful of things. So markers, dice, uh, pawns or meeples or cubes, whatever you've already got around your house is going to be fair game here. So trying to keep that as simple as possible to play keeps it affordable for you. You're not going out and buying something new except for the game, and then being able to print it. And then if you want to laminate it, if you want to make a fancy version of it, by all means, go right ahead. Definitely seen some really cool pictures of folks doing some amazing jobs, like production qualities of their print and play games. But with print and play games, obviously, if you just print it one time, you just mark on it with your pens, put it in a recycling bin when you're done. When you're ready to play again, bring out another one, print it off again. Totally fine.
I'd like to add my 2 cents too. Is I found having a print and play version of your game is a really great thing. It keeps it affordable for people who don't want to spend more money on it and don't want to spend money on shipping. So I always have the print and play version available for all of our cards. But I think the coolest thing about that is that I can give that away for free. So I've given that to so many people on Instagram, and then they've been able to do marketing for us, share it, play the game. And so I think that's a really good just suggestion for anyone listening and wants to have an easy in on marketing. And then another piece on that too is our games are really small, and I think it's the best way to start as a designer. So I think again, why Ben and I thought this was a really good thing for beginner designers was keep it really small, keep it really simple, put a lot of game in a small package, but then you'll find success easily, quickly, and then you can go from there. So other designers have created bigger games. Someone's creating a TCG coming up, so like it's a great way to start, kind of create that base, create that community, and then go from there.
Awesome. This is such great insight. I feel like creators, like big and small, are always looking for ways to innovate in this area because from like ideation to manufacturing to fulfillment, it's always great to have different innovative ideas to kind of keep, margins relevant and like affordable as well. So thank you all for your insight there. So our next question is, how do you go about designing a small game that still feels like a big experience?
Um, so one easy way that I started this with the print and play games with no assembly required, one of the first things I realized was that that was going to mean no cards. And when I started talking to some of my game designer friends, they're like, "How are you going to make a game without cards?" And I was like, "Well, that's what I'm asking you. How would you do that?" And they're like, "I don't know, man. Cards are hidden information." And then I was like, "Okay, well, if I give you a sheet of paper and you can hide that, I've got the hidden information on the cards, and also to some extent, one of the best places to hide information is your brain." So some of my early printable games, so like Spies, was you're making your marks secretly on your sheet of paper, and obviously you wouldn't be telling everyone else what you're doing. But in other games, the information is all public, but your strategy is the secret part. So basically, to answer the question, a lot of the game happens in your mind, thinking about what other people might want to do on their turn. And even though you can see everything, you can't know what they might want to do because there's multiple ways of multiple valid strategies happening at any given time.
And I'll just add a little bit. For me personally, I always start with a fixed cap My personal favorite is just aiming for 18 cards. And if anyone's familiar with Button Shy Games, that's obviously a very big trademark of their product line. All their games are basically 18 cards. And the reason I personally like this is that number one, there's so many ways to create multi-use card systems. Using the size of the cards, the corners, the front, the back. I mean, Simon's one card maze, features multi-use cards effectively. My previous campaign, Hieroglyph Historian, was also originally an 18-card game that was expanded to include some mini expansions for the campaign. But I feel like if you force yourself with a very low component count at the very start, that helps you to shape the game rather than adding that constraint later on.
I totally agree. So, what Ahmed is talking about is this game is another game. It is the mazes as well, but it's another game as well. It's kind of like an X's and O chess style game. And so, yeah, using that constraint to benefit you instead of like to scare you away or to like make it sound big and scary. That constraint is so helpful to us in one card maze and just even me and like in hand get design. But the other thing to make a big experience, I've forgotten it now. What was I gonna say? Start a community again is what I was gonna say. So there's so many people who've done this from the beginning of Micro May, which is so exciting. So us with One Card Maze, we're going to continue seasons, hopefully as long as we can can continue in the future. But peep spotting is a big one. So peep spotting started 2 years ago. Then it was cat spotting this last year, and this year it's dog spotting. So they just kind of continued this community. People love that game. It's a like a simple-ish game, but it's got great replayability, and you can play it with multiple different people. And so, yeah, even there's another one too, Montoons. But there's a few people who can kind of continue that thing. Actually, Dylan's a good example too. He always does plushies. I was asking about his plushie for this year. So just kind of like creating a community and then creating like a want that to continue. Like people do want to see what you have next. Yeah, and I think it's a really good way to create that big experience.
These are great answers all around. I think, we were talking a couple of days ago, I think, around like how small or micro can kind of be misinterpreted as simple, but that's really not the case. And a lot of complexity can actually like fit in a compact delivery. And I think even just the range of the games that y'all like introduce with what you're like working on and stuff kind of presents that. So thank you all for these great answers to this question. If we want to move on to the next one. Okay, great. Looking back at your first campaign, what's one mistake you made and what did it teach you?
I'll start real quickly, and I think this is very common, especially for anyone who hasn't yet launched, which is that thinking you need to have, completed everything, you need to have the perfect start, and not sharing your game sooner. I do still have this challenge in terms of waiting until like, hey, I'm ready to share. But honestly, the sooner that you share about the game, the better, because the best form of marketing is actually anticipation. People get excited, they want to hear, and they want to support, and they can't do that if they don't know about your game a lot earlier. Like if they're like, oh, it's launching only tomorrow, but I don't know anything about it, that's too bad compared to, hey, I've heard about your game for months. It's so cool seeing the development. I really want to support you. So it's a very, non-sales pushy kind of effort, and it's very genuine because you are sharing about your game as you develop it. And it's a very organic way to build a community around your vision of the types of games you want to build.
Can I just add on what Ahmed said? Is if there's anyone who's thinking of doing Micromate, please create your page, send it to Asia, have that all get ready as soon as possible for exactly what Ahmed said. Is getting those numbers on there, getting those that pre-launch page ready is such an important part of this. It's cool to see how like Kickstarter has changed. That's a big part of it now. You can add now to the pre-launch page. It's now such a big part. We with the community also are sharing it among all of us, and so you will have automatically a few of us follow it. So it's a really good way just to kind of like start that, kind of like kick yourself in the butt and then hope it continues. If it doesn't work, you can kind of like do it later. Some of us have kind of like continued these things later, but yeah, that's a good thing. Sorry, Chris, go for it.
Yeah, so for our first Kickstarter, I think we actually did a lot of things right. The biggest mistake we made was not considering how much work we were making for our graphic designer. who needed to update a lot of text on the cards. We wanted to have as many languages as we could because this print-and-play game could be sold to anyone in the world. I'm still looking for a backer from Antarctica, or if you're going to Antarctica, if you're going to the ISS, I'd love to send you a free copy of my game so you can get a picture of it with, like, space or Antarctica in the background. That could be kind of fun. Um, but the mistake we made was we just spent a lot of time focusing on getting all the languages right. And we wanted to have as many of them as we could. And we didn't think about how much time that would add to the production cost, or not the production cost, the production time to make all of the different versions of this printable game with all of the different languages. It took us longer to fulfill than we should have. So the lesson we learned from that was to really focus on the languages that people were asking for, that people were backing for, and then also what we could, whenever possible, try to make the sheets textless. So there was less need to rework a sheet for every single language. There'd be icons, and if you ever look at like a board on a Euro game, it's all icons, it's places. There might be place names, but it's icons and numbers, not text in a language.
For us, I want to kind of say like a thing to do in your first campaign, and then a mistake. But I think to definitely do is just test the waters. So we tested the waters by doing it as a print and play. So do people like this game? Is this a good game? Yeah, like is this something that we could continue? Um, or is this just a small idea that might just end at a print and play, and that's okay. So kind of start there. I think that's a good thing to do on like as a first campaign. But then any mistakes is then going too far. Exactly like Chris said. We last campaign were like, we should do shirts and posters and tables and like yeah, like you don't have to go so crazy. I would definitely take it slow, take it in steps. All of us, all the panelists here have kind of done that. Like take it in steps, pick your best games. Yeah, Chris was saying a few days ago, like he picks his best games. He doesn't just do all of his games and put them all on Kickstarter. It just make sure it's a good game and people will like it, and then kind of go from there.
Super helpful. Anything else from our creators on first campaign mistakes? All right, cool. Okay, my last question here, and I'm seeing some questions in the Q&A as well, is about building momentum. So would really like to talk a little bit more broadly here about marketing. We have one question about best practices for pre-launch. You guys have emphasized that pre-launch, the momentum, the anticipation is really important. Any advice on building pre-launch? And I have another question here about I don't have a huge social media following. Is that a detriment? How do I approach that? Or what are the different levers and channels that I can use to build that momentum? Simon, I
I'll
know
go
you
first with
have.
this one. Yeah, I'll go for this one. This one, I'm quite proud to say that in the first two seasons, and even just the middle of the third season, we haven't paid for any advertising, and I think this can work for everyone. And I've seen slowly some other people do this, but again, like I said before, giving your game away for free. On our website, if you go to onecardmaze.com, I'll post it in the chat. If you sign up for our mailing list, we give you 13 mazes, so you can automatically print out 13 mazes immediately. And so that's good for you. And I want it this way. It's good for you because then you get a free game. And then it's also good for us because we get an email. And we have a huge email list now because we just give stuff away for free. Another big part of that is that marketing thing. So you can always give your games away to people on Instagram, like I said before. But I'm also going to pump the Facebook page. We are so lucky to have a community that like really wants to help people. Ahmed was saying things he learned about the community just in his experience. Thing I've learned is people just want to like help you. I know it sounds so like altruistic, but it is really true. People just want to play your games. People want to get your game for free, and then people want to like share it and then help you and do art, like do different art, do collabs. Like I said about the card with Ahmed, it's just cool to that like we can all do this together. We don't have to kind of be against each other, and that's the other exciting thing about Macrame. There are all these games happening in this month, but we're all here to help each other. So part of that Facebook page is we have a whole Excel sheet where we kind of like track a number of things. We post things together. We track what we post. We track who's following what, and so that's a huge part. If you don't have a following already, join us and we can help you.
Yeah, for me, I like to snowball my successes. So I started super small. Um, and if you get like a couple dozen backers, like that could be a huge success for your first time. And then you just build on that. You just demonstrate, you show that you can deliver, that you make good games. And people will keep coming back. I have people, they back every single game. So I know I can just keep pumping them out. And it's so nice. And then like you meet them when you go travel around and they're like, yeah, I have this and have this. Can you sign this? So it's like start small, like start with the print and play. I think that was my big mistake is I'm gonna make a game and I'm gonna print it, I'm gonna ship it everywhere. And people are like, how are you gonna do that? I'm like, I don't know. And then they don't back your game because there's no confidence in that. But if you're print and play, like now I'm when somebody backs my game, it's there's a link to it automatically. It's like, oh, you backed the game, you already gave me $1. Like, of course you can go download it and play it tonight before the campaign is over. And if they want to cancel it, like there's no problem with that. So and then social media is amazing. Like you can reach out to so many, especially the micro influencers. They're just there's so many people are so sweet and generous with their time, and they're eager to print their games at work and play them when they can on their breaks, and put them on their Instagrams, on their TikToks, on their YouTubes, on their Xiaohongshu's or wherever they are. Um, like this is the easiest time to get eyeballs on your projects, and there's so many projects going on, but what you make is so unique, and especially because we're doing these print plays, we're doing these micro games, we're making the art ourselves or with a dear friend often. Like it has charm, and use that because people this is the age of human made stuff. The more messy and raw and emotional it is, the more people will love it because we see this AI slop everywhere and we want something that's fresh and unique and not um cookie cutter game designs. Like there's so much cool experimentation that you get with this project, with this banner. So um I love it. Just try, start, do it, and make mistakes. And make mistakes while you're small so that when you're big, you look back and you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Dylan, you
Yeah.
spoke to something just now that I just want to pivot really quickly, and then Chris, I promise we'll come back to you. But Dylan, you seem passionate about this, and we got this question. How do you overcome the fear and hesitation of publishing your micro game?
Oh, you don't. So, I mean, I'm sure Simon could talk about being a musician also, but like when I get in front of an audience of like 10 people or 1,000 people, like my legs shake. Like they're throbbing like it's an earthquake. And my blood's pumping and that's your body like giving you the energy to do it. So same thing, like I've recorded myself like I'm gonna push the button, I'm gonna launch, I'm ready. And every single time I get that like that flutter and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to like whenever I get the little like alerts that like people are backing me, like I don't want to lose that excitement. I love being afraid. I love like it's its coin. Like fear and excitement are the same emotion. It's just perspective.
I'm just over here nodding. Yeah, I mean, yes. I love being afraid. I I'm with you. Ah, thank you for
Yeah,
that. Okay, Chris,
of
Yeah.
would
course.
love to
Yeah.
hear your thoughts on marketing and also maybe being afraid.
Yeah. So, one thing that we had, so basically, my encouragement here is going to be take advantage of the opportunities you have as a print and play game maker. I can send my review copies out to anyone for free anywhere in the world instantaneously. I don't have to make these review copies, and I don't to treat them as these precious things that are carefully shipped from one person to another person to another person. That's the limitation that we'll have with traditional manufactured games. Um, and what we can do with print and play games, obviously, if I find a reviewer I like their style, the way that they review games, even if they don't have the biggest numbers, it doesn't cost me anything to send them a print and play copy of the game. And more helpfully, it lets them feel cool. Hey, I'm a reviewer. I got a free game. And now I can, whether they're early in their career or they just haven't built up their audience yet, they're still an influencer. They're still a rock star for being out there reviewing cool games and hoping to help us indie publishers make get our name out there. And in the same way that Dylan was talking about that nervousness, you're going to feel that, and your best bet to you don't even get around it. Look at any person that's going to be performing. It might be a song or an instrument or a dance. Every performer gets nervous before they step onto that stage. It's it's just part of the process. Accept it, understand it, acknowledge it, and then be ready for it and allow it to happen. And then it gives way to that message that you funded, that you're 300% over your target or whatever the number ends up being. And then you can focus on the next step, which is fulfillment, making sure we're listening to our backers and otherwise making sure they get what they were promised.
I'm gonna add a tiny bit to this. Actually, Chris recently wrote an article about your ambition level, and I highly recommend it. By the way, Chris's stuff are amazing, and he has written books as well. And what I want to highlight this is that you have probably seen Kickstarter campaigns in the millions, right? And you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. How do you get those sort of numbers? I think you want to put it in perspective that there's a ton of money, effort, team members behind those projects. And when it comes to, solo one man or one woman, campaigns, like you don't need to shoot for the stars. Like you can be as ambitious as you want, but really it's more about what Dylan said. It's pushing something out there because you're passionate about it. And I think you're going to feel much more satisfied about that than seeing, while it's great to see, big numbers in your campaign, but don't focus on that as a metric. Focus on accomplishing something because you want to do it. And I think that's going to be like the best experience that you can get from all that nervousness, all the hair pulling, in preparation of the campaign and all that.
I'm feeling super inspired right now. This is really great. I'm so happy we have you all here with us. Okay, a little less inspirational, but hopefully just as interesting. We've had a few questions here about international backers. So Asia, I might ask you to respond here as well. Um, from a Kickstarter perspective, for if we have international backers, do the funds arrive in various currencies, or how do the current, what is the currency that arrives to me as a creator after the project finishes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is a great question. So, answer is pretty simple. It's based off of where the project is located. So, if the currency is collected based off of where the project's located, so it's not where the backer is located, it's where the project is located. So, it'll be collected in the native currency of that country.
Thank you. And then Simon, I saw you kind of answer this in our Q&A box as well, but there's an additional question about fulfilling. Like, what are our creators' thoughts on fulfilling just to the USA or what country they're local to versus fulfilling internationally? I think we understand at the base of it, international makes it more complex. But Simon, if you could expand there.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just kind of start with what I said in the Q&A box. So season two of One Card Maze, we only did a few countries. I want to say 10 to 12 countries. And then season three, we did 26. And hopefully we do more in season four. So I think start really small. If you want to do just where you are, like just China or just the US, do it. It's so much easier that way. It's exactly what Dylan said. Just do the thing and make it easy for yourself and then do it better next time. I also think that there are other ways to do this. So I personally use Zatu and Bridge in the US. So there are fulfillment companies that will help you do all this and make it really easy. Zatu gives me a big list. Actually, both Zatu and Bridge give me a big list of how much everything costs for each country. And I just put that on my backers. So that's another question kind of answer thing too is, and actually Ahmed and I have talked about this before, is should you charge shipping ahead of time or after? The first few times we've charged ahead of time just because Zato and Bridge gave us those numbers, and we just put that on the customers or the backers, sorry. And then this time, since we have a lot of different things that people will kind of like pick and choose, someone was asking about add-ons in the Q&A too. We are going to do the shipping after just because there was lots of different things. When you have multiple products, actually, a lot of us do. It's just easier to do it at the end. Things change, weights change, the world changes. So it is, yeah, easier to do it at the end if there are many things. We had a few wallets first time, so I would just do it all in advance if it's small and easy.
Okay, we have one time for just maybe one more question, and then I'll wrap it up for our group. Um, this one's interesting. If you have collaborators on your project, how do you think about sharing profit or sort of how do you structure the financials of working together with another company on a game?
Yeah, so when I started No Box Games in 2022 to make print and play games, I started from an exercise I read in a book called What Color is Your Parachute? And that exercise was basically A plus B equals C. C is the complete, exhaustive list of all the things you have to do to make a thing happen. A is the list of things you can do, and that necessarily leaves B as the things you either can't do, don't have time to do, don't want to do. So I could make the games, I could make the website, but I couldn't do the graphic design. And I wanted to put the hands of the marketing in the hands of someone that would be doing that. So we basically said we each have our own kind of defined roles here. We'll each take an equal 1/3 split. And that worked for us. Um, the we have I have a different arrangement with Parker now because he handles a bit more of the business side as well as the marketing and Kickstarter side. So, but it definitely helps to have that agreement in place with your partners, uh, whether they are your artists, your marketing people, or whoever's helping you. It definitely helps to have that sense if it's a flat fee or if they're getting a percentage of the proceeds.
So I also have a co-designer, so I'll just add into this. We split everything 50-50 because exactly what Chris said. I do a lot of the like forward-facing things. I like the Facebook stuff. I like the marketing stuff, and he likes the behind-the-scenes stuff. So I think it's exactly what Chris said. But we do it 50-50 because it's just that's our thing. And then actually something that we just started last year, and I'm so grateful we did, was we do a timesheet. So we also do a little bit of if someone has more time than the other person, that's how we split the money that way. But it is a really good question. It was something we hummed and hawed for a long time. I'm glad we started the timesheet about a year ago now, and it's just easier to kind of see what each of us are doing. Yeah, we can ask questions. We can kind of see how much goes into which part, and like Chris was saying, sometimes more goes into the marketing, some months, and sometimes more goes into the design other times. So it's helpful. Good question.
It's really funny that Simon mentioned that. I mean, pretty much almost all of my projects have always been with a collaborator. And what I want to say on this is that you always generally overestimate how much effort you put in and you underestimate how much effort people put in because you don't see the work that they do. And so it is really important that you assume there is going to be a 50-50 effort unless you can justify otherwise. For example, Simon's been working with his collaborator for a long time and they've built a base and so they're comfortable to go down to that level of detail. But generally speaking, I would recommend a 50-50 approach as in until you can figure out that, okay, you're going to do this specifically and therefore you get that percentage and I'm going to do this and we've got someone else doing something else.
Thanks, y'all. I have one last question that actually Asia might most likely can answer. And then we will wrap it up. So that is, how long should creators expect to spend after being funded to releasing their game? Actually, this maybe is more of a creator question. But, how should they think about that timeline between getting the funding and the project ending and actually releasing and fulfilling?
Yeah, I'll let the creators take that away because I was going to say this just depends on so many different factors, whether you're manufacturing, like your whole timeline. But yeah, I think I'll let the creators speak to this because they can speak to this better than I can because my answers will just range from the variety of creators I work with. So,
Yeah, so as
So,
go ahead. Go ahead, Dylan.
okay. I forgot the question. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So as a print and play game, obviously we'll have it ready to go to send to everyone via the private messages through Kickstarter. So what we'll typically do is we'll wait till the funds hit the bank, just as a way of making sure that part's done, and then that kind of starts the milestone, if you will, of making sure everyone gets the right files. There's there's still some occasional customer service. Hey, I don't the link didn't work for me, or I didn't see this language in the Google Drive or whatever. But for the most part, yeah, we wait till the funds clear and then we'll release that. But we get to do that because we're print and play. Um, yeah, which is why Simon probably has a better thought on physical manufacturing.
Well, Dylan, could you mind if I just add to his? So we do print and play and
Yeah, yeah,
physical.
for sure.
So I know Chris is way ahead of most print and play designers. You don't have to do it right immediately. I liked it last Micro Maze. Some people did it immediately, and that's great, and you can say that in your page. But some people did take a few months to finish the game. That's why Kickstarter is so awesome, right? Is do people like this idea? And then do they want to wait a little bit for the thing? Because then they can wait a little bit for the thing. That's what Kickstarter is great for. So some people have waited like a few months to then get the project to people. For us, we're just kind of like finishing up a few things. We do a lot of collabs, like Ahmed was saying. So like getting their art, making sure it looks good to them and good to us, and then finishing that stuff up. So that is okay to take that time. I think like there's already so much stress in the campaign. Give your like Ahmed just said, pat yourself on the back. Take your time. It's totally okay to take a few weeks. And then the one last thing is our first season, we fulfilled in like 3 months, 4 months, which is totally unheard of, right? We were just ready. Everything was ready to go, and we had it almost ready to go when we got the money came in. This last one, like I said, there was extra collabs and stuff like that, and tariffs and things just popped up. So that obviously slows things down, and so it's all good if things take a long time. It's part of the process. I think we all need to just kind of like, yeah, take a breath.
For me, since I'm doing mostly physical stuff, I do P&P also, and that's immediate when they back. But for the physical stuff, we'll print like 2 or 3 games at a time to also save money on the sheets of boxes, the sheets of rules will often all be shared. And sometimes I'll print them before the campaign. I'll print some of the stuff before the campaign so I can ship it out to the reviewers. Because there was a question in the chat about ad spend, and I'd rather spend money helping out the community, helping out other influencers get a game instead of, like Chris was saying, sometimes people will send a prototype game to one influencer and then, oh, can you send this after you play it to another influencer? And it's a headache. Like, I'll just print 1,000 games and then send 100 games out to influencers. And I'm like, just keep it. It's yours. Like, it's for you and your family. Sometimes there's one guy, he had a Boy Scout camp, and I'm just like, here's one for like your whole, like, there's enough for everybody to play at the same time. And it was great. So it's nice to be generous. And if you're like, ad spend is so expensive and can cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and you get like the margin back on it, it's really tiny. So I'd rather keep my campaign small, keep the ad spend small, and then send out the copies. And then when the campaign is finished, I can start shipping things out. And I have a 3PL that I found on the Kickstarter page. There's like a whole list of different 3PLs and fulfillment partners. So I'm using Next Smart Ship, and they can ship internationally everywhere. They handle the tariffs, they handle the VAT, they handle everything. So I don't need to be VAT registered in each country or region around the world. So I'm doing that both for the influencers before and then shipping out the products afterwards. And if there's any kind of changes during the campaign, so maybe we'll add in some extra stickers or add in some extra expansions or stretch goals in the package. I can add that with the extra stuff. So I'll tell people it'll take a year to fulfill, but most of the time we're fulfilling sometimes a week after, sometimes a month or two afterwards. And that way we can get to our next campaign because there's always a next campaign.
There's always a next campaign. So true. Well, thank you all. I appreciate it. We've got so much good advice, and thanks to our panelists for sharing their games, sharing their expertise. This has been really informative, and I feel very inspired and pumped to back a lot of games in May. Just want to thank all our participants for joining. As a reminder, we'll send you a copy of this whole recording, as well as some other resources to get started, and how to participate in Micro May in case you missed anything today. So keep an eye on your inbox. The email address you registered with is where we'll reach you. You'll also receive our monthly creator newsletter full of the latest product updates, creator tips, upcoming events where you can connect with the team in person. And then you can always reach out to our games team as well. So Asia is one of the folks who manages this inbox. We'll drop the link in the chat. You can message us at games@kickstarter.com. Please be patient. We have a small but mighty team, but you can hear from us and ask any questions that you have. Again, thank you for being part of today's session, and we can't wait to see the micro games that you bring to life in May. Thank you.